So is it okay to edit street photographs? Let's have a debate and you can tell me what you think. So, is it okay to edit your street photographs? Now, I'm on the side of the fence that says it's okay to remove distracting items from the shot, though do make sure the finished edit keeps its authenticity. Now, I would say at least 90% of my street photographs remain exactly as I captured them. So no editing apart from adjusting the exposure if needed and applying a certain look in Lightroom, and often conversion to black and white. So I guess I captured the shot I was hoping for around about 90% of the time, with obviously a proportion of shots not as good as expected and thrown into the trash can. We all do it. But for the other 10%, a little bit of cloning with the stamp tool in Photoshop can really help to enhance the image. Now, is this cheating or deception? Well, not if the photograph still retains all the key elements, and of course you don't add something new to the shot to create a scene that didn't exist. Although that's fine too, but then it becomes a composite image, which is something completely different and not a genuine street photograph. So with that said, I'm going to show you 6 examples where I've edited the shot to make a dramatic improvement. And I'm going to start with a simple and obvious edit, and as I move forward, the edits will get more and more complicated. And I will explain the reasons why I decided to edit each photograph. But first, why edit? Well, there are a number of reasons. For instance, just at the moment you are about to press the shutter release button, somebody walks into the shot and affects the composition. Or perhaps bystanders or parked cars are making the photograph look too cluttered. So my view is that these distractions are fair game to be removed because they are random details that are inconsistent and variable, and at another time may not have been in that position. Another thing to remember is that our eyes view the world at a focal length of around about 50mm. And we generally shoot street photographs with a lens that has a wider field of view, meaning as well as capturing our subject, you could indeed capture some unwanted details that you didn't notice at the time, or your eyes just simply didn't see as you were concentrating on the subject in that fleeting moment. Now, for the most part, this is fine, as including all that lovely detail is what street photography is all about. But as I say, some photographs can be improved with a little bit of cloning or a simple crop. So let's jump in and take a look at those 6 examples. In this first example, I just simply cropped the image and removed any unwanted details. Now, I remember walking towards the woman in the shot, and it did make me laugh just how much she was enjoying eating her ice cream. Now, of course, the photo wasn't actually captured as you can see here, so let's take a look at the original image. Now, you can see there's a lot more going on in the photograph. However, my eyes were completely drawn to the woman with the ice cream, but the wider angle of the lens has captured a wider scene. Also, I was walking towards the woman and she was walking towards me, so I only had a split second to capture the shot as our paths crossed. So back home on the computer, I simply enlarged and cropped the photograph and of course converted to black and white, and the job was done. All nice and easy. Let's take a look at another example. I love this photograph capturing 2 gentlemen looking out across the river. Now, they're both sitting in similar positions with matching shadows, and even their coffee cups are matching. However, what did the original photograph look like? So let's take a look. Not so different, but I thought it would look so much better if I removed the 2 people in the shot, plus the lamppost above the gentleman on the right. And of course, it's not unlikely that the people in the background may not have been there when I captured the shot, so I popped across into Photoshop and used the stamp tool to take away those items. It was a little bit tricky, but it was worth it as the photo now tells a much better story in my opinion. Now, if you want to know more about how to get the best from the stamp tool, I have a Skillshare class called the Essential Photoshop class, which will take you through all you need to know, and you'll find links in the description below. Okay, so on to the next photograph. This shot has 3 key elements that I wanted to stand out. The old fort on the seafront, the woman and the camper van, plus all that lovely cloud detail. Now it has real atmosphere and isolation, doesn't it? But what did the original photograph look like? Well, pretty similar, but there are some distracting items that just had to go, such as the cars and the random people in the background. After removing them, I decided also to remove the gentleman in the shot. Now this was a 50-50 decision, but I really liked the movement created by the woman, whereas the gentleman, although walking, hasn't created a body shape that was reflecting that movement. Plus, as he was behind the park bench, it looked slightly messy, so he had to go, with my apologies. But overall, it is not impossible that the scene may have happened. The cars may not have been parked there, for instance. Though I do feel a little bit guilty about removing the gentleman, who was probably the woman's husband. Too far? What do you think? Okay, on to the next photograph. In this shot, I sat outside my local cinema in front of a window display featuring an audience wearing 3D glasses, and I waited for an interesting person to walk past. Now eventually I captured this shot, and I think the guy in the shot looks suitably interesting with his flat cap and his fixed stare. But what did the original photograph look like? Well, not so different, but as you can see, he was not alone. So I just had to remove his friend from the shot, who was clearly spoiling the vibe. Also, if you take a look at the subject's eyes, you can see the eyes are closed. Now to fix this, I borrowed a facial expression from another photograph. Now luckily I had taken a number of shots and a simple copy and paste and change of angle, and nobody would ever know. Well, until now I suppose. The photo now has more of a solid story. To me it looks like the audience are enjoying the movie that features the guy in the flat cap. So what do you think? Okay, on to the next photograph that has some potential controversial changes. This photograph has movement and depth created by the children passing the fairground ride. Now, I love the way the subjects are moving in opposite directions and all in different modes, walking, running, and of course on the scooter. But what did the original photograph look like? Well, as you can see, the running children are not featured. They actually appear in the following shot captured seconds later. Now, as I like both images, I decided to combine them to emphasize that movement. So I simply copied the running children and pasted them into the first shot, making sure the lighting and details match perfectly. Now you could say this scene never existed, but microseconds either way, and it's totally possible that this photo would be a reality. Is this pushing credibility? Possibly, but for me, it's all about getting the best from your photographs, and a little creative license is fine. I didn't, for example, copy and paste from a completely different location. That would then be a composite image, and as such, not a true street photograph. Let's take a look at the final image where I do add some items not originally in the shot. Not a true street photograph, more of a study of two interesting people having coffee. But I thought I would include it to show my thought process when editing to create atmosphere and narrative. So let's take a look at the original photograph and see what I removed or added. Firstly, I love the two characters in the shot, and the photograph almost looks like a still from a movie, but it has some areas that can be improved. First, the window behind the gentleman is much too bright as I expose for the indoor light. Also, I don't like any details that indicate that they were sitting in a coffee bar. The shopping bag on the floor, the logos on the coffee cups, and the sachets of sugar on the table. Then there's that rather orange radiator, which is very orange. So firstly, I added some sky detail to the window using the sky replacement feature in Photoshop. Then I removed the shopping bag and the distracting items on the table. And finally, I desaturated the radiator. At this point, it looked much better apart from the big expanse of plain wall. So I decided to add some retro wallpaper. Well, why not? I then made adjustments to the colour and exposure to bring out the teal and orange look, which is very popular in movies. And the finished look is quite unique, isn't it? Of course, the shot is all about the two characters and the directions they are looking, but the editing has certainly helped to create a story and give it a cinematic look. I would say this edit is almost unacceptable and is more artistic than true street. However, the composition is still definitely a small slice of daily life. So what do you think? Well, there you have it, 6 very different edits, with certainly the first 5 being totally legal street shots, or should I say street legal. And as you can see, I didn't add any items to the photographs. I just simply removed items that possibly may not have been there seconds earlier or later. So I don't think I've broken any laws, but what do you think? And do you edit your street photographs? So join the debate and add your comments below, but please play nice. Finally, many thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But most of all, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.